Te toku ikua, ko kaitahu, ko Ngāti Rahi Tumutumu oku iwi, he kairuruku kairangi me mataga kaiahau ki te manua haukura. Hey, kia ora koutou. It's a pleasure to be able to talk to you all today. And yeah, like I mentioned, I'm a research manua haukura, and also a clinical dietitian. It's kind of the background and that I bring to my kōrero today. I'll share my slides and then we can get going. Yeah, like I mentioned, I trained as a clinical dietitian and did some mahi in biomedical science, and then my most recent mahi has been exploring kaupapa Māori views and intersections with kai. And so today I'm going to be sharing a little bit about, I guess, some of my thinking, where I've landed in terms of kai ora and wāhine ora, and it's going to be quite interactive today. And so we're going to be having a bit of a kōrero around, I guess, relationships with kai, how we conceptualize kai, and thinking about more how we might be very much nourished, I guess, by kai, and kai in a very broad sense as well. And also thinking about what healing and reconnection to kai means for you. So there will be, I guess, a little bit of a focus on wāhine, and I'll draw that in, but this is also very relevant to tāne as well. So let's see. Cool. So first up, just a bit of a reflection and think about. I want you to think about what are some words you would use to describe your relationship or connections to kai. So I'll give you a few minutes to think about that. It can be a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer, or you could put them in the chat if you'd like. I'll open up my chat so I can see. But yeah, don't think too hard about it. Just what are some words that first come to mind when you're asked, what is your relationship with kai? What is your connection to kai? I'll give you a few minutes while you're thinking, and then carry on.
Kia ora, Hannah. I would say my connection with kai is what is it? It's like a wave. I have moments of I need to eat because I'm hungry, and then I have moments of I need to eat because I need comfort. Yeah,
yes,
so either hungry or comfort kai.
Yeah, so the physical and the emotional. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kia ora. I think we're seeing that in the chat as well. Emotional memories. I love that. High memories, positive, reward, whakapapa, whānau. Beautiful, complicated. I like that. Yeah. Nourishment, medicine. Yeah. Ka pai. Beautiful kōrero. Community, whānau, time consuming. That's an interesting one. Yeah. Yes. Sticking with whānau, yeah, connection to whānau, soul food, community. When tired for energy, yes. No good or bad foods. I love that. Kia ora. Ka pai, I love the kōrero thing.
Like when you have visitors.
Yes,
yeah,
manaakitanga. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's an important connection you bring up as well, that for many of us, and particularly those of us who are Māori, like the connection to kai is so much more than just physical. It gets very much cultural as well. Mahika kai, beautiful. Ka pai, kia ora koutou. Thank you for that. So I'll go into our next. Keep thinking about that in the back of your mind as well. So now we're going to do a bit of a visualization activity. So bear with me, it will make sense once we're through it. So I'm going to ask you to kati o karu, close your eyes, and if you're more comfortable turning off your camera, feel free. That's kei te pai. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and as you've got your eyes closed, I'd like you to visualize having your hands out in front of you. So you've got your hands out in front of you, and I want you to visualize someone putting kai in your hands. As you're visualizing that, I want you to think about what the kai is. Who is giving it to you? For those just coming in, we're just doing a bit of a visualization activity. So for those just coming in, I'll start again. Those who are still going, keep going. Kei te pai. Yeah, if you're driving, please don't close your eyes. Ka pai. So those just coming in, I want you to close your eyes and doing a bit of visualization of having your hands out in front of you, and someone is putting kai in your hands. I want you to think about what that kai is. Who's the person putting that kai in your hand? Now I want you to think about what are the smells you are noticing? What are the tastes? What are the sounds that you can hear? Where are you when this is happening? What sort of emotions are coming to you? I'll give you a few more minutes just to sit in that space, and then we'll come back. You don't have to share, just if you want. Okay, I'll bring you back into our space now. Hi. So, I can share first, and then we can go around. Anyone who would like to, or you can put it in the chat, but also no pressure if you want that to stay within yourself. It can be quite personal. Full disclaimer that it wasn't my idea, that activity. One of my colleagues does it quite frequently when they're kōrero about kai and whakapapa, and I asked them if I could use that kōrero today. And why I really like it is it can, I think, help us delve into our subconscious connections with kai and bring some of that to the forefront of our mind. When I first did this activity, I had a visualization that I was sitting outside my marae, and I had my marae is in bluff or motupohui, and so kaimoana is a big thing. So I had bluff salmon in one hand and a donut in the other hand, and for me that was a beautiful visualization of the two worlds I sit across, and particularly my mahi, but also in a lot of other spaces as well. So yeah, serenity. I've seen your kōrero: knowledge transfer, soul food, wholeness, completion, bluff voices. Yes, kia ora. Ka pai, would anyone like to share? There's no pressure. Only if you'd feel comfortable would like to share your kōrero today.
That was a really beautiful exercise. Thank you. And I didn't close my eyes. I'd like to stay alive. But I automatically, my first thought and feeling was thinking about my mum when I was a child, and she would make takako. And I didn't realise that takako was something she would do because we couldn't afford bread, or we couldn't afford kai that was going to be able to fill us, I guess, or to make us feel full. I'm not sure. But it was a really beautiful memory because I remember the smell of it, but I didn't feel poor. You know, it's kind of like, this is what I know. And it wasn't until I had grown up that I realized that that it was actually a way of her surviving. And all my older brothers and sisters knew it was because we were poor, but I didn't. So I find that really an interesting reflection. And I treasure that. I think it's cool. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Kia ora, thank you for sharing. That was beautiful. Thank you. And I've just seen in the chat from Andrea, kōrero around rewana dripping with butter. Oh, I love that. Given from her kuia, who she never met but passed before she was born. Oh, kia ora. I love It is Pōri, you know. I think a lot of these memories are tied to beautiful, but also some Pōri memories as well, and different emotions. Um, One thing I've
I
noticed
just want
is
to say I don't
yeah.
appreciate the memory of rotten corn. She used to love rotten corn, and I still know what that smells like, and I don't like it.
You either
But
love
rotten
it or you
corn, my
don't.
goodness.
Yeah.
Actually, I do have something I want to share.
Yeah,
And
kia
that
ora.
is I'm sorry, I didn't catch the name of the person who was just speaking previously, but there's an amazing saying, I think it was from Bob Marley, who said, I feel sorry for the poor people because all they have is money. And so when I was listening to your kōrero about the rewana, to me, if you had a kuia that made you rewana, to me, you were wealthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. Wealthy in memories. Yeah. And would anyone else like to share their kōrero today? All right, well, two?
Yep.
Yep. Whānau serenity?
Yeah, so I guess for me, mine was my papa, but then I had a whole lot of other people join my visualization, and it was all those that have actually gone, and what they've passed on through kai or moments around kai was their, you mentioned before, their culture. And so then it becomes not just history, it becomes new life. And so yeah, that's what the knowledge part was, the transfer, the creativity, because I was thinking of, my mum could make anything out of anything, and it was so, I still have the thoughts of that, and I still go to places where, spend time with, actually I do a lot more now as an adult, spend more time with both my mother and my father, and they just, it's a place where you just feel like every part of you is refreshed and revitalized in a sitting with kai. And so and the first thing they always ask is, where's my mokos? I said, no, this moment's about me. And so, and I enjoy just spending that just moments with kai, with my mother and my father. So yeah, so it was my papa. Basically, every time we had kai moana, we would join him at the table, and all of his mokos would be with him, and there was just a smile on his face that would radiate out of him, knowing that his mokos loved kai moana. And he wouldn't even eat, he just would love, enjoy the moment of watching us eat. And so in that brought joy, brought peace, and abundance of love and action, if that makes sense. Yep.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Kia ora, thank you. Beautiful kōrero this morning, and some lovely comments in the chat as well. Thank you. Feel free to just keep putting those in as we go through. One thing I want to draw on, I guess, from all the kōrero that's been shared is that a lot of these memories, I guess, they do connect back to wāhine. And I guess that does point us back to the central role that wāhine do have with kai and with whakapapa and whānau. Ka pai. So I will go to this next slide. So a bit wordy, but I guess what I want to draw this kōrero into is, I guess, some of the context around some of our kōrero, which is, I guess, this movement for Indigenous food sovereignty. And it's very much tied to the rights that Indigenous peoples have to the kai that is relevant and safe for us, and the kai that sustains us and our communities. And like we've found, and as I've mentioned, that wāhine play a really important role in the food sovereignty of Indigenous communities and whānau. And that has been shown, through history, through time, and particularly areas like mahika kai, seed saving, that sort of thing as well. We find a lot of our memories, a lot of our sources of kai are handed down by wāhine and protected. And so I guess there's a really strong connection there between kai and whakapapa and whānau that we can draw upon and set as, I guess, a foundation for our thinking in this space as well. And I'd just like to point to some of the awesome mahi that's going on in the Māori food sovereignty movement. Many of you have probably heard of the Huapare Kore movement as well. Oh, yep, got a puka puka, lovely. Yeah, so yeah, just wanted to point to this awesome mahi that Jessica Hutchings and others are doing on the ground, literally, to revitalise those practices with whānau and community, and strengthen, I guess, the connection that we have between whānau, whakapapa, and kai. The other area I want to kind of address and talk to today is, I guess, the impact that colonialism has had on our Indigenous food sovereignty practices, on our relationships, and on our connections to kai that prevent us from being fully nourished in all the senses of the word of nourishment. And so in some of my recent mahi, I've been thinking about the impact of colonialism on food and our food systems and structures, and what that means for us as Māori. And so this is a term I've been using to describe that, which is food colonialism, which is a lot of the structures and behaviours and logics of colonialism that are grounded in processes of extraction, accumulation, dispossession, mass production, denial of Indigenous knowledges and environments, and the surveillance of food processes and human behaviours. And why I'm drawing on this is, I think, a lot of the challenging emotions, a lot of the challenging connections that we have with kai are resulting from, I guess, this concept of food colonialism and how it plays out in our modern day settler society that we live in at the moment. So that's what I want to unpack a little bit, is thinking about, we've got these beautiful connections and this beautiful sovereignty, food sovereignty movement, but we're also wrestling with the impacts of food colonialism on our connections and relationships with kai. So we're going to do some, I guess, thinking and some exercises to, draw us into a space where we can think through these things for us on a personal level, as well as a whānau, perhaps a community level as well. Oh, and this is just some of the things that I've come across in my mahi that result from food colonialism and that impacts on our connections and relationships with kai. And a lot of these disproportionately impact wāhine, which I think is an area that demonstrates the impact of food colonialism impacting wāhine ora and whānau, particularly being diet culture, fat phobia, the impact of nutritional health inequities, food and diet stigma, culturally irrelevant food environments, the loss of mahika kai and mātauranga around kai, as well as the destruction of natural kai resources. So you can probably think of some examples as well. Absolutely, fast food, lack of time, absolutely, that's all part of our food environments and our time and energy structures that have been created by the systems and societies that we live within at this time, that impact our ability to be well in connection to kai. So with that in mind, I want to draw us into thinking a little bit more about mana motuhake and what that means in relation to kai. And so I love the kōrero from Professor Margaret Mutu about mana motuhake and how that centres Māori sovereignty and self-determination. And some of my mahi have been thinking about, what does mana motuhake mean in relation to kai, within the systems and structures that we operate in, and bearing in mind the impacts of food colonialism on our everyday life and everyday connections to kai. And so this is a little exercise I'd like to take you through now. I'll explain a little bit, then we'll kind of have some time to do it and maybe share back as well. So this is a little bit of a model I've made for thinking through how we can assert and exercise our mana motuhake in relation to kai, and what that means. And so first is a kai waranga, which leads to ruranga. And so we've heard the term waranga a lot. I guess in this particular framework, the definition of waranga that I'm leading on is one from Moana Jackson, where he talks about waranga being a process of following the thought. And then the definition of ruranga that I'm leaning on is one where ruranga is the process of bringing forth into action those thoughts that come from waranga. And so I guess bearing in mind these beautiful memories and connections that we have with kai, but also the impacts of food colonialism on our memories and connections and the relationships that we have with kai. I want you to think through at the moment, perhaps an engagement or activity that can bring you into a space of healing and conscious resistance against the systems and structures of food colonialism. That might sound a bit broad and airy-fairy, but any kind of activity or action and that can support you with feeling well in relation to kai. And I don't mean well as in healthy eating, I mean well as in a positive feeling within yourself that strengthens your connection. And then having a think about the ruranga, or the process of bringing forth those actions into reality, into your life, to live and feel and be well in relation to kai. It doesn't have to be anything huge, but it's bringing into our mind space the idea of being resistant to food colonialism, and in drawing on connections and whakapapa and the connections between kai and our well-being. So I'll give you a few minutes to think about that, have this kind of kai waranga within yourself, and then maybe we can have a little discussion about what that looks like for you. Does anyone have any questions at this stage about this, what this kai waranga and ruranga process might be? Oh, clear as mud. Ka pai. It's can be broad, non-descriptive, so whatever you're thinking and feeling at this stage. I'll give you maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll come back together and have a bit of a kōrero. Ka pai. While you're doing that, I'll check and read in the chat. Bye. 1 more minute, whānau, then we'll come back together. Hi, awesome. Hope that you found that okay. I'll share one I've had recently, and then perhaps if anyone else feels comfortable sharing as well, we can open up space for a bit of a kōrero. Yeah, so this is something I've been trying to do quite frequently, having a bit of a kaiwaranga and then thinking about the ruranga that come from that as an act of connecting to mana motuhake and as a concept and living that in reality, and trying to think through some of the barriers that prevent me from doing that sort of thing. So, and I think it's been brought up in some of the chat, is the connection between kai and time. And I guess under the structures of colonial capitalism, we don't all have a lot of time these days. And so, and a lot of often the first thing to go is anything in relation to kai, with having fast food or anything like that. Not to say those things are bad, that is kei te pai, and it's all time and space. But for me, it's been about trying to put a little bit more time around kai. And so hasn't been anything big, but I've been reflecting on how time impacts my connection and relationship to kai. And for me, just having time outside, having a cup of tea in the sunshine has been how I've been trying to increase my positive connection with kai and nourishment, and nourish myself and be out in te taiao as well. So it's a little thing, doesn't have to be anything huge, but for me, just mentally connecting to why am I doing this? Not just to be outside and to have a cup of tea, it's to be an active resistance, I guess, against the systems and structures that are not supportive of our hauora and of our mana motuhake ki te kai as well. So that's my little reflection. I've seen we've got a couple in the chat as well. So Serenity said, teaching and learning in preparation of kai, sharing stories. Oh, that's beautiful, sharing stories. Ria said, planting mō rākau for rongoā, harvesting and growing and passing on cultural or natural processes of kai, staying connected, yep, to our mokopuna, yep, beautiful. Kristen said, not eating at my desk. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, taking time to be mindful and present. Ka pai. Would anyone like to share a kōrero on this process and how they found it? Even if you didn't come up with your ruranga, just sharing how you found this process as well. Very happy to have any kōrero.
I have a little thing. I realised, so at work, I'm an architect and I work for Design Tribe Architects, who all our clients, so all our work is kaupapa Māori and all our clients are Māori, which is so awesome. But we have a stove in our kitchen, and I tried for a long time when I worked from home not to microwave my food, because what I've heard is it kills all the good, it heats it, but it kills all the goodness. But what I realised at work once I started, just because we have a saucepan, a really good one, to heat my lunch up, to eat it, is when you microwave food, you're really removed from it. You're removed from the process. You can't smell it. Plus, in my mind, it's like, I don't have time for this, but it's killing all the nourishment as well. When you heat it on the stove, you have to stand there, you have to stir it, or it burns. And you can smell it heating, and it gets your taste buds going, and it really gets your appetite going. And most things really, if it's 2 minutes in the microwave, it's really only 3 minutes or 4 minutes on the stove. So again, this is food I've leftovers from the night before. But then, when I'm thinking it takes too long, it's like, really, I can't spend 3 more minutes to not kill my food and to be part of the process. So I had to have quite a few little kōrero with myself about what am I prioritising in terms of my time, because it takes me 35 minutes to drive to work. So what's an extra 3 minutes to not kill my food and to really enjoy it?
Ka pai. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the beautiful thing about this process, it's all very individual, and so that's something that sounds really important to you, and really a really important part of your kai processes. So it's beautiful. Thank you. Would anyone else like to share any kōrero today?
Kia ora, everybody. And I'm going to merge into that first question too. So I thought instantly of my kraua who eats everything, tero, kauramara, everything that a lot of them I didn't like anyway. But for me, there's definitely mana motu hake and kai Māori. There's connection with father, son, koro, grandson. You're learning, especially when I think of manu, getting manu to feed others. So you're learning to care for others. You're learning things like wāhine get certain parts of the titi, the more delicious parts, and the men eat the guts and everything. So all those little things teach us how, stay connected to who we are as Māori. And although I never ate kangapira, I ate most things, but you could see that it wasn't a physical nourishment. It's a wider nourishment, looking at the way those old queers in that smashed it back. Yeah. No.
Kia ora.
Ka pai.
Beautiful kōrero, thank you. I love your kōrero because, a kōrero is on wāhine and kai, but it's so important also to tuatāne and kai. And I love how you talked about that as well too. Thank you. Ka pai. Any other kōrero today before we kind of move on and close up? Carl? Ka pai. Well, I guess these slides will be available and things. So I know it can be sometimes a bit confronting starting to think about these things at a personal level. So having a time to think and reflect might be really helpful as well as you think through these big concepts, but also how the little things on the day-to-day can help as well. So yeah, that was it really. Just want to open up any other time for any other kōrero or pāta, anything that's kind of come to your mind that you'd like to share with the group today. And those who are collecting the whakatauki, you'll notice it's on this slide. I strategically put it at the end. Ka pai. Yeah, just open up for any other kōrero before we finish.
Kia ora koutou. Ngā mihi hēnā for the session. This was lovely. One thing that it helped me sort of think through was thinking about what my ideal situation around kai is versus what my actual situation is in day-to-day life. And I think my ideal would be growing, gathering, and harvesting most or all of our own kai for a whānau, whereas the reality is that most of our kai is purchased, much of it is processed, much of it is sort of aligned with that time poor lifestyle like you talked about and like others talked about, and the disconnect. So I think this was a lovely reminder to try and sort of navigate that. What is our ideal aspiration versus what's the reality, and how can we maybe shift that a little bit? Yeah,
absolutely. Kia ora, Tim, that's a beautiful point. And I think that's the hard thing. A lot of us have these beautiful aspirations around mahika kai and, producing and gathering all of our kai. But like I said, the reality of that is very challenging for a lot of us. And so, I guess just finding space for wherever you're at this time, and also holding space for, I guess, a hope that things can change and that as life changes, as it continually does, that there may be more time and space for those activities. Yeah. Kia ora, thank you. Ka pai. Any other kōrero? Otherwise, I'll hand the time back to Heidi. Ka pai, I think that's us. Oh, kia ora koutou. Thank you all very much. I've been very grateful to share time and space with you all to kōrero on this, and hope that you found it helpful, and hope that it can, I guess, spur some other wānau within yourself and within your whānau about your connections and your relationships to kai, and bringing in sources of healing and reconnection in many ways as well. So yeah, tēnā koutou.